Hey everybody, Corrections 101 here at an undisclosed location somewhere in the United States. Not going to say where, but I'm out on with work, and I'm not in my normal studio with a nice microphone studio, 3 monitors and my good laptop and everything, recording this on my cell phone. So hopefully everything goes good here. But one thing that has become clear with the analytics, with YouTube, with these videos, is that people are looking for shorter videos. And so if everybody wants to see this ridiculous invoice that SIACC sent me, courtesy of Carrie Folkerts. You can go to my last longer video and it's published there. You can see it. Nothing to hide there. And you can see how just ridiculous it is. Her sending me an invoice for over $46,000 for who knows how many documents it's going to be. But let's get right to it here. Let's try to make this quick as possible. So, the hubris of these people, Carrie Folkerts at SIACC and Teresa Range, the director at SIADSA, they have absolutely no business being in the positions that they are in. They absolutely hate you, Southeast Iowa. They hate the public. They have no accountability. It's the big middle finger to everybody. These people don't give a shit about you people. And the bad thing is they have these cushy jobs, these easy cushy jobs. And this comedy, I'd call it a comedy of errors, but there's nothing funny about it, because of their decisions. They allowed a wolf in the hen house to sexually assault a 16-year-old juvenile in custody. And then when any accountability tries to come down the way, they just give you the middle finger. They don't care. They don't care. Not one bit. And then the people giving them cover, fortunately right now they're starting to figure it out. Lee County Board of Directors, the Board of Directors from SIACC and everybody. There's obviously, funding sources that SIACC runs off to feed us to SIADSA. They're all going to find out. This is all going to come clean. There's going to be change eventually. It may not happen overnight, but it's going to happen eventually. And we just have to continue to, until there's change, we got to tear, it's like anything else, anything bad, anything evil, you got to tear it down brick by brick and then rebuild it. And it'll be stronger, it'll be better, and the community will be better off for it. So let's rewind a little bit. Of course, back in May, Mark Young, a juvenile correction officer, put SIACC and SIADSA on notice. He was found to be grooming girls and committed a major PREA, which is Prison Rape Elimination Act. Major violation for having inappropriate, sexual conversations with females, underage juvenile females, showing them wads of cash, telling them what they would do when they start hanging out when they're 18, which, yeah, right. He was grooming them for when they got out of there, even if they were 16, 17, 15 years old, to be able to start hanging out with them and having, sexual trysts with these underage girls. Anybody who's had any grooming training knows this, but they don't have any substantial training at SIADSA. They don't. So anyways, so they were on notice in May, and it's like being put on notice for a dangerous dog, right? So if you're an owner of a dog and the dog out of the blue bites somebody, you're probably not going to get in the biggest legal trouble in the world, other than maybe civil, taking care of damages and everything, but probably not criminal. But if you're on notice and your dog has bitten somebody or gotten aggressive in the past, and then later, you're on notice that this dog is now a dangerous dog, really harm somebody or kill somebody, you're going to be criminally liable for that. And it's the same way for Mark Young. In May, SIADSA and SIACC were on notice about Mark Young. Period. End of story. Anybody who tells you different, or we didn't know, is absolutely gaslighting you. They are lying to you. And how they don't have charges against them, I don't know. I ran through in the last video, the statute of child endangerment. You run through the child endangerment charge or statute for the state of Iowa. And absolutely, without a doubt, Carrie Folkerts and Teresa Range meet the exact definition of what that statute is. Why they haven't been charged yet, I don't know. But let's just leave that aside. Let's say we're not going to charge them criminally. Let's just say Okay, we'll just get rid of them. They still have the jobs. They still have the jobs. They're still getting paid by the taxpayers of Southeast Iowa, or all of Iowa, actually all around the country, if you want to consider all their funding sources. It's gross. It's disgusting. How these two ladies are still there is beyond me. But it is what it is. And then when you try to dig into it and get records just to see how ugly this is, because it will get a lot more ugly than this, okay? The more details that we find out, I mean, only a certain amount of details were released, in the media and in the arrest warrant affidavit, but it's going to get worse. The more details that come about this, when these girls, from May and, this victim finally get interviewed and the more details come out, it's going to get worse, but that's okay. Sunlight is the greatest disinfectant. And when you tear something down brick by brick and build it up from scratch, it only gets better. It has a stronger foundation, a stronger structure. It'll be better. But in the meantime, these people, the hubris of these people, Carrie Folkerts and Teresa Range, it's, they allowed this all to happen. And I'm so sorry to the victim, and I'm going to make a separate video on that to the victim, because I don't know that she's ever been apologized to, from people in this community who, including me. We're supposed to protect these juveniles when they're at some of their most low points in juvenile corrections. And it's sad that people are supposed to protect her, keep her from animals like Mark Young that, had PREA violations and allowed him to stay there to do what everybody could foresee. You literally do not have to be a juvenile corrections professional. You don't have to have a degree like me to understand that someone that has a major PREA violation and everything, and met all the standards for child grooming, would at some point sexually assault a female. It's gross. It's disgusting. How these two ladies have a job, I don't know. But the hubris of the $46,000 invoice for records that will be deeply embarrassing to SIACC and SIADSA is beyond hubris. It's ridiculous. It's insane. And people need to demand more. We need to have confidence in our public institutions, whether it's at the local, state, or federal government level. And this is one of the most disgusting acts I've seen from local and state governments, SIACC and SIADSA. And we'll get there. Change will happen one way or another. But it's about education and getting the story out. And we'll do that. We'll get there. So everybody, like, share, and subscribe. Do all the YouTube stuff. Like I said, I know the analytics show that people want me to make shorter videos. I have a tendency to gamble and to gabble and everything. So try to keep it everything, 9-10 minutes or less. So everybody, thanks for viewing in. Keep the faith up. We're going to get this done, guys. We're going to get faith back into SIADSA, SIACC, or whatever organizations take their place once they're done. But we can't allow this to keep going on. So hope everybody has a great rest of the day. Bye.